recently left my job at Accenture as a Salesforce developer. I'd like to tell you about what took me there, what I got out of there, what were some of my frustrations, and why I decided to leave. There were a couple of reasons that attracted me to Accenture. The first big one was that it was a big brand name in the technology space, especially in Salesforce space. They have the most number of Salesforce professionals, the most number of Salesforce certifications. They're the biggest partner of Salesforce in terms of implementation. And I wanted to see what is it like to work for such a global company. I was afraid that I'll be bogged down in bureaucracy. There'll be so much control, so much policies, procedures for everything. That's the way they have to run a big ship, right? To make everyone walk in the line and make sure that the ship runs efficiently and in coherence. Luckily, to my biggest surprise, despite its huge size, over 400,000 employees and growing very fast, Accenture is very agile. I felt like I was part of a small team, small company, a startup company, but just a startup company within a large company. Yeah, so that was a huge, nice surprise, and that's what I loved about my experience there. And the second thing that attracted me to Accenture was that hiring manager really liked me and he impressed me, and I wanted to go to a place that wanted me. And at that time, I had very little Salesforce experience. I was fearful, would I succeed there? Um, would I be overwhelmed by the demands, by the travel, or just would I fail? But the hiring manager believed in me, and I was very grateful that they took a chance on me. That's the second reason why I was attracted to Accenture. As I started working at Accenture, a couple of things came through that I loved about the company. And now in retrospect, I can say they were the awesome. The first one is the travel. Uh, I got to see, I got to discover new cities, new states that I've never been to before. For example, I got to live in Texas for a month, in San Jose for 3 months, and be away from home, eat different kinds of foods, see how Houston is a totally different city than a typical US city. And so when I would get out of work at 5 p.m., I would go bike around, have some tacos somewhere on a highly rated Yelp eatery, etc. So I was working daytime, discovering evening time. Second thing I loved about Accenture is that we worked really fast, really hard, and in two shifts. For example, I would do something, pass it on to my colleagues in India. They would do something, pass it back to me, back and forth for the whole week. And so at the end of a week, I would make a tremendous progress. In my previous experience, when we would demo something to a client, and it wouldn't be something that significant, but that's the way it was. The client was used to it. But here at Accenture, because we're working on two shifts, US shift, India shift, and we had a very talented team, we would have demos every 2-3 days, sometimes even daily, depending on the project. And I was amazed by how much would get done in a day over two shifts. And so basically in a week, we would have 10 days of work getting done, yeah? So double the speed, double the talent. That was amazing. And working in such a fast-paced, quick deadline environment, I learned so much. I felt like I was in a Salesforce boot camp, and I was getting paid to be there. So I was learning and earning, learning new technologies, Salesforce Einstein bots, live message, etc., Lightning components, Lightning flows. There was so much I was learning, so much. And as I learned, I gained the confidence. Initially, when I joined Accenture, I had very little Salesforce experience. I had a lot of certifications, but little experience. And so I felt like an imposter. I felt like a fake Salesforce developer, a fake Salesforce professional. But as time went by, after just 6 months, I could tell that I knew a lot, and the pace of my learning kept getting faster and faster, and the depth of my knowledge made me realize that I'm actually becoming a Salesforce professional. I'm actually a Salesforce developer. I was amazed that due to my hard work, I became a Salesforce developer. So that's a second thing I love best about Accenture is that a lot is required, and as because I delivered a lot, I learned a lot in the process, and I became a Salesforce developer. The third thing I liked about Accenture is that they have a very nice staffing model. I hear it's different at Ernst& Young, KPMG, and maybe some other consulting companies, but basically at Accenture, here's the way it works. There's a directory, online directory of all projects that are looking for certain professionals. Yeah, so I would go in and look for Salesforce positions for someone at my career level with my skills, and put together, say, a list of 10 of these and start applying there. They would get back to me, would have an interview and see if they wanted me, if I wanted them. And so this helped me see what is in demand in the market, where do I want to go. And so although I was within Accenture, I was still employing for projects, and I realized that there were a lot of Salesforce developer positions. There were some Salesforce business analyst positions too, but the competition was fierce for them. I don't think I saw Salesforce admin positions. As I interviewed with the Salesforce developer positions, I saw my gaps, my knowledge gaps. And so it encouraged me to study more, to work hard. And that's when I realized I want to be a Salesforce developer. So the staffing model at Accenture helped improve my interview skills, helped me see my knowledge gaps, and helped me realize that I want to be a Salesforce developer. And the other good part of the staffing model is that as I'm seeking a project to be staffed on, I'm sitting on the bench. And the first time I was sitting on the bench for about a month, I was worried that I was getting nervous that my manager or career counselor or someone from HR would start reaching out to me and rushing me and saying, "Hey, why aren't you getting a job? We're paying for you. Come on, come on." But no one reached out to me, and so they were very patient, extremely patient, and gave me a chance to find a position that was a fit for me. So that was the first time I sat on the bench for a month. Second time also I was on the bench for a month, and also I didn't get rushed. So I was very grateful to Accenture that they didn't rush me, although I was just sitting at home looking for positions, and but I'm still getting paid like I was working full time. All right, so these were three things I loved about Accenture, and here are a couple of things that I was really surprised about Accenture that I realized as I was working there. First is there is no training for Salesforce developers. I saw some Salesforce trainings and I wanted to apply there, but I was very busy in the middle of projects the whole time, and I couldn't see how I can take time away to go attend. There are always deadlines, there are always some demo, and if I want to attend the project during my downtime, then who would pay for it, right? Payment for trainings get paid from a project, and if I'm not a project, who would pay for it? So I wish at Accenture there was training for anyone who's aspiring to be a Salesforce developer, maybe on Lightning components, on Salesforce DX, on how to use IntelliJ, or how to debug effectively, etc. Maybe also I didn't get the training because my career level was low. Maybe there is something for managers, senior managers, but for senior analysts, for Salesforce developers, there was no Salesforce training. Second surprising thing was that how little PTO we had. I didn't pay attention when I was joining Accenture, but after I took 4 weeks of PTO, and I came back from vacation, I had a negative PTO balance. We were only given 2 weeks of PTO. As I was leaving the company, I got an email. Everyone at Accenture got an email that people at my career level get extra 3 days of PTO, which was great. But still, I think even 2 weeks plus 3 days is little. As I kept learning and learning new things at Accenture and working hard and hard, at one point I felt that my learning was plateauing. Marginal knowledge I was getting every day was less and less, and the work was becoming routine. Much the same thing again and again. This affected my excitement for work. How excited was I to wake up every day? How excited was I on Friday waiting for Monday to come and get back to things? So the long exciting hours turned to just overtime hours, and I didn't want to work any overtime hours. Then I just realized I just want to work 9 to 5. And then I saw around the same time I saw the Salesforce survey published by David Liu, which he takes from Mason Frank. There I saw the salaries for Salesforce Developer, a junior level, even a mid-level developer, and I was far below it at Accenture. So that I was thinking, okay, I'm working so hard, I'm spending so many hours, and I'm becoming such a good developer. Is this the best I can do? That's when I decided to seek an interview for developer positions other places, and see what's my market worth. Can I be worth much more than what I'm getting? Can I be worth much more than what I'm getting paid at Accenture? And so I put together my criteria, and I started looking for jobs. I wanted to work for a local company so that I didn't have to travel much, at most 10 minutes of commuting. I wanted 9 to 5 jobs. I was probably gonna work much more than that, but I wanted that to be my extra effort. I didn't want that to be the norm like it was at Accenture. And I wanted to have a nice 6-figure salary. Thankfully, all worked out well. Salesforce developers are in high demand. I found a great company to join, and I'm loving it there. As I'm working here, I realized a couple of things that weren't in the best practice at Accenture, and the main one is that we don't use the best Salesforce technology and methodology. First of all, what I mean is, for development, we would use typically just developer console. Right now we use IDs like IntelliJ and the plugin like Illuminated Cloud, but at Accenture we would just stay within developer console. But these IDs are much more powerful. And also, we did not use version control at Accenture. And at the projects I was involved in, we just migrate code using chain sets, sometimes unmanaged packages, but here everything is through GitHub. And we're using the terminal. And so a lot of new things I'm learning right now. And I was surprised I didn't know them. We're such a big global company and would be employing the best global practices. So what I just want to say is that I think it's a good practice for Salesforce developers to move around. Once they realize that their learning is plateauing, they should go somewhere else. If you have any questions about my Salesforce experience at Accenture, leave it in the comments. I'll be happy to get back to you.